Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about the vertebrae, the vertebral column. The vertebral column, it is otherwise known as spine or spinal column, or it is the backbone. It is the main part of the axial skeleton. The vertebral column is the main part of the axial skeleton. It consists of 33 bones. It consists of 33 bones called vertebrae, and these vertebrae are separated by means of intervertebral disc. In between the vertebrae there are intervertebral disc. The vertebral column forms a strong and flexible support for the trunk. It extends from the base of the skull towards the coccyx, extending from base of the skull to tail end, which is named as the coccyx. The functions of vertebral column, they have got an important role in body posture, and it supports the body weight, helping for the locomotion. It protects the spinal cord which are passing inside the vertebral column, and also it protects the nerve roots which are emerging from the spinal cord. It transmits the body weight to the ground through the lower limbs. These are the major functions: posture maintenance, support of body weight, locomotion, protection of spinal cord and spinal nerves, transmission of body weight to the ground through the lower limbs. These are the major features or the functions of vertebral column. The vertebral column is made up of 33 vertebrae. The vertebral column is made up of 33 vertebrae. It is made up of 33 vertebrae, out of 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral and 4 coccygeal. 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral and 4 coccygeal. But only 24 of them are movable. That means sacrum and coccyx are fused together. Sacrum, 5 sacral vertebrae and 4 coccygeal vertebrae are fused together to form a single sacrum and coccyx. The movable are 7 cervical, 12 thoracic and 5 lumbar. They are the movable. 7 cervical, 12 thoracic and 5 lumbar vertebrae are the movable vertebrae, while the last two, that is sacrum and the coccyx, are immovable vertebrae. They are, because they in adults they are fused to form single bones. So that in infants there are 33 separate bones. That means in infants 5 vertebrae of sacrum and the coccyx are not fused. 4 vertebrae of the coccyx and 5 vertebrae of the sacrum are not fused in infants, so that it is, the total number is 33. But in adults, because of the fused sacrum and the coccyx, it is named, or the total number is up to 26. So this is the abbreviations that can be used for this locations of the different vertebrae. Cervical, we will use C for mentioning the cervical vertebrae, T for thoracic vertebrae, L for lumbar vertebrae, S for sacrum, and coccyx, there is no any CO for coccyx. Or majorly we will not use the coccyx anyway. If it is like, then because up to sacrum only there we can see the spinal nerves, so that The spinal nerves are named according to the vertebral positions, so that C1, C2, C3, C4, like that we will name it. So that this moving vertebra like cervical, thoracic and lumbar, the moving vertebrae are responsible for the considerable flexibility of the vertebral column with the help of intervertebral disc, which can be seen in between. They also play an important role in the movement, and it acts as a shock absorber during the locomotion. It acts as a shock absorber. The length of the the length of the vertebral column or the spine is about 28 inches in male and 24 inches in females. The vertebrae contribute to 4/5 of the total length and remaining 1/5 by the intervertebral disc. That is the total length of the vertebral column. These are the vertebral column can be seen in a positioned. Upper one are the cervical, middle one thoracic and the lumbar, and lower one at the pelvic region we can see the sacrum and the coccyx. So these are the positions, different positions of the different vertebrae. There are specialized curvatures, as like in this diagram we can see there are some convexities and concavities of the spinal vertebral column, the spinal column. The curvatures, we can call it as the curvatures of vertebral column. In the articulated vertebral column, in an articulated vertebral column and in MRIs, 4 curvatures are normally visible in adult. 4 curvatures. They are the thoracic and sacral curvatures, thoracic and sacral or pelvic curvatures. They are concave anteriorly. They are concave anteriorly, and the cervical and lumbar, upper and lumbar, cervical and lumbar, they are convex anteriorly. Concave anteriorly, thoracic pelvic curvatures are concave anteriorly. This is thoracic curvature. This is cervical curvature. Cervical curvature and the lumbar curvatures, they are convex anteriorly. The thoracic curvatures and the sacral curvatures, they are concave anteriorly. So these are important because these first two, that is in case of thoracic and pelvic, in case of thoracic and pelvic, they are named as thoracic or otherwise the pelvic otherwise named as the sacral. Okay, thoracic or pelvic or sacral, they are called as primary curvatures. Primary curvatures, that can be seen in before that is, or it can be seen in infants or before maturing, that is because they develop during the fetal period, so that it is named as the primary curvatures. The secondary curvatures are cervical and lumbar curvatures. The secondary curvatures are cervical and lumbar curvatures. They are developing after birth. So before birth we can see only 2 curvatures in infants, so that are the primary curvatures, and after birth, when the toddler or when the child starts to walk and all, the secondary curvatures, or when they starts to lift their head in a straight position, and like that when they starts to walk, in that cases or in that period, these secondary curvatures will develop, or when an infant began to hold his head erect, and the lumbar curvatures becomes obvious when the child begins to walk. So these are the features of, or the curvatures of vertebral column. Now we will study the individual component of vertebral column. The individual components of vertebral columns are named as vertebrae. There are majorly two parts can be seen in a vertebrae. That is, this is a typical vertebra, or a vertebra can be seen like this. And this, a vertebra possesses a large body, or if we are making a line through this region, this can be divided into an anterior part and a posterior part. This anterior part is the body, and the rest of the complete portion is named as the vertebral arch or neural arch. The body, this is the body, and this is the neural arch. So the body of the vertebra. The body of the vertebra is majorly, or a typical vertebra, a normal typical vertebra. It is composed of majorly two parts, body and the vertebral arch. The body is always anterior, vertebral arch is posterior parts. The vertebral arch is featured with a number of projections and elevations. All those things can be seen, and simply vertebral body is the part which bears the weight, and in between the vertebral body only we can see the intervertebral disc. So the body is large, heavy anterior part which is somewhat like cylindrical in nature, and function is to support the body weight, which have got an upper surface and a lower surface. Upper surface and or the superior surface and inferior surface. They are flat surfaces, and these surfaces comes in direct contact with the adjacent intervertebral disc. So this is the body, first part of the vertebra, the body. Rest of the part, that is named as the vertebral arch or the neural arch. The vertebral arch or the neural arch, it encloses the vertebral foramen. You can see a large foramen through which the spinal cord passes. A vertebral foramen can be seen. This vertebral foramen is protected, or through which, because it's a cavity which is passing through inside the vertebrae, so that it is a protection field of the spinal cord, or through which the spinal cord and the spinal nerve roots passes. And the arch is also formed, the vertebral arch is also formed with two pedicles. The pedicles which projects posteriorly, these are the pedicles. Pedicles are the bony projections posteriorly from the body to meet two laminae. These pedicles are meeting towards thin plate, that is named as the lamina. So these are the lamina, right and left laminae. This right and left laminae are the thin plates which are fusing to form the spinous process or the spine. Spinous process or the spine. Then there are the articular processes. The articular processes, they are the processes to which the some of other structures articulate, so that it is named as the articular processes. Four articular processes can be seen. Articular processes, inferior, superior. Two inferior articular processes, two superior articular processes. Two superior articular, this is superior articular process, and here comes the inferior articular process. So two sides, on two sides, two superior articular facets are there and two inferior articular facets are there. So that four articular processes can be seen on which a depression for the adjacent vertebra to be articulated. Like that, four articular facets can be seen. Like that, two transverse processes extending from the meeting point of pedicle to lamina, there are two transversely running processes can be seen, transverse processes. On that transverse process also maybe there is the articulating facets. That is especially for the, in case of thoracic vertebra, they have to be the articulation of ribs must be there. So that for that purpose, there is, if any of the other bone comes and articulating with the vertebra, there we can see a articular facet or a region for the articulation, that is named as articular facet. So that these are the features which can be seen in a typical vertebra. The parts of a typical vertebra are body and vertebral arch or the neural arch. The body, which is a cylindrical part, thick part which possesses a superior surface and the inferior surface. The superior and inferior surfaces are flat, and the posterior aspect, posterior part of body connected with the vertebral arch by means of a pedicle, a bony projection backward, and from the pedicle two thin plates of bony elements passes backward, which is named as a lamina, and these are fusing together to form a projection, that is a posterior projection, that is named as a spinous process. The meeting point of pedicle to lamina, there is an extension that is named as a transverse process, and there are two superior and two inferior, like four articulating processes with articulating facets can be seen. And especially in some cases there is also maybe the articulating facet can be seen on the sides of the body, like in thoracic vertebrae. So any of the bone which comes to articulating with the vertebra, like adjacent vertebra or to the ribs, that can be showing with a facet. So these are the parts of a vertebra, parts of a typical vertebra. Now the different types of vertebra depending upon the positions. The cervical vertebrae, that is the first set of vertebrae are named as the cervical vertebrae. They comprises bony axis of the neck, or they forms the bony axis of the neck. The smallest vertebra, they are forming the smallest vertebrae, but tissue are denser than those in any other regions of the vertebral column. It allows 180-degree range of motion. That is importance, because the first two vertebrae, they are articulating with a pivot joint, so that we can rotate our head in 180 degree to the sides of the shoulders. Up to the sides of the shoulders we can move it because of the articulation between the C1 and C2. The C1, it is named as the atlas vertebra, which is helping for the holding of head, upward holding of head. Practically no body or no spine can be seen in atlas. It articulating with axis to form a pivot joint. It is rotating or it is moving over the dense part of the axis. The axis is the C2 vertebra, specially named as the axis. Atlas is the C1 vertebra, specially named as the atlas. And this axis vertebra, it is fusing during the development, fusing with the atlas to make the atlantoaxial joint. So this is the atlas vertebra. The atlas vertebra which does not possess any body. It is simply two arches with two lateral masses. Two arches, anterior and posterior arches can be seen with two lateral masses. Especially like that, there is a superior articulating facet or superior articulating part and inferior articulating part. Superior articulating part articulating with the lower condylar process of occipital bone. Occipital bone articulating with the superior articular facet to form the atlanto-occipital joint. Atlanto-occipital joint. Like that, inferiorly it is articulating with the C2 vertebra to form the, this is a C2 vertebra. So the axis vertebra articulating with the atlas to its superior surface, the inferior surface of the atlas resting over the superior part of the axis, so that it can be rotated with the help of this dens or upward projection of the axis. The features of the cervical vertebra. The cervical vertebra we can identify with the help of a opening on the transverse process, that is towards laterally there are two projections. That projections are known as the transverse processes. Within the transverse process there may be the presence of a small opening. That is the identifying feature of cervical vertebrae, that is presence of a foramen in transverse process named as the foramen transversarium. This foramen transversarium is a opening through which the small vessels which are supplying the brain are passing through this, like vertebral artery passing through this opening. So that is one of the important feature, transverse process bearing an opening named as transverse foramina or foramen transversarium. The spinous process. The spinous process can be seen as bifid in nature. The spinous process which are forming with the fusion of two laminae. They are separated. The tip of the spinous process is separated, so it is or divided, so that it is named as the bifid spine. The spine is forming as bifid spine. Then the spinous process in seventh cervical vertebra. In the seventh cervical vertebra, the spinous process is more prominent. So that the seventh cervical vertebra is named as vertebra prominens. The seventh cervical vertebra is named as vertebra prominens. That vertebral spinous process can be felt through the skin. Externally, this vertebra prominens or the spinous process of the vertebra prominens, the seventh cervical vertebra can be felt through the skin. This is seventh cervical vertebra. This is atlas, axis, and these are the features of a typical vertebra, cervical vertebra. Next is about thoracic vertebra. Thoracic vertebra is majorly around 12 in number, because 12 they are articulating with the 12 pairs of ribs, larger than the cervical vertebrae. These are larger than cervical vertebrae, and which possess a long pointed spinous that is directed downwardly. So this feature resembles the C7 cervical vertebrae, or the C7 cervical vertebrae resembles the features of the first thoracic vertebra, so that the transmission or the changes starts from the C7 cervical vertebrae itself. So the body bears the weight, that is a major weight load bearing part, so that it increases the body size. In the thoracic vertebra, the body size is increased, and it is somewhat like a heart shaped. It possesses a specialized type of demi-facet on each side of the body. It possesses a demi-facet. Demi-facet can be seen on the sides of the body, to which the head of the rib articulating. So that is the speciality of the thoracic vertebra. We can identify with the presence of demi-facet on the sides of the body, and heart-shaped body with spinous process downwardly directed, pointed. This is a figure showing the You can see the thoracic vertebrae here. These are the major features. The spinous process can be seen, it is projected. There is a lamina and transverse processes which are bearing the facets, and also the body shows the facet of the articulation. On the upper border of the body and the lower border of the body shows two articulating facet. The respective upper and lower ribs are articulating with it. It is a demi-facet, that means half of the head is only articulating. Half of the head is only articulating with this. The rest of the head is articulating with the higher vertebra. That is a speciality. That's why it is named as the hemi or the demi-facet. Next is a set of lumbar vertebrae. They are 5 in number. They are the thickest vertebrae. They support more weight because of the larger or stronger bodies. It possesses a transverse process, projects posteriorly, and it possesses sharp angles. The speciality, most important features are the large bodies. The lumbar vertebrae spines are horizontal. They have got a cutted end, provides surface area for the muscle attachment. So it is very much strong. The lumbar vertebrae are very much strong, and the especially the vertebral foramen is small. So this is the vertebral body which is very thick and large, and it shows a spinous process which is not much elongated. They can be seen like a truncated or cutted shaped one, and lamina, all the other features which can be seen in the lumbar vertebra are strong, and they are thickened, most thickened vertebrae. The transverse process are horizontally placed. Then the sacral vertebrae, they originate as 5 vertebrae, but complete fusion occurs by the age of 25th, that is 18 to 13. Between 18 years to 30, it may fuse together to form a single bone. It possesses different features like sacral foramina, dorsal sacral foramina, sacral promontory, sacral canal, sacral hiatus, and sacral foramens. The dorsal sacral foramen. In this diagram, we can see this is the combined form of sacral vertebra to form a single sacrum. This sacrum possesses externally, we can see the openings. They are named as the dorsal sacral foramen. Dorsal sacral foramen. These are the openings on either side. We can see on either side of the midline, we can see there is a presence of dorsal sacral foramen through which the blood vessels passes. And sacral promontory. This is a position which is named as a sacral promontory. The body of the first sacral vertebra. Body of the first sacral vertebra is more projected anteriorly. It is named as the sacral promontory because of the weight bearing from the upward region. Because of the weight bearing, it is extended anteriorly. In this diagram, we can see a small projections anteriorly, that is named as the sacral promontory of the first sacral vertebra. Then the sacral canal. Sacral canal is the opening through which the spinal cord passes, or that is the continuation of the foramen and the vertebral foramen. It is the vertebral canal or the sacral canal, that is continuous openings of all the vertebrae through the collection of vertebral foramens together named as the vertebral canal. So it is extending into the sacrum as the sacral canal. So this is the sacral canal through which the spinal cord passes and comes out through the sacral hiatus. The lower end of the sacral canal is named as the sacral hiatus, through which the spinal nerves emerges out. The sacral foramina. 4 pairs of sacral foramina can be seen. They also passes through which the small sacral foramens. Small sacral foramens can be seen in relation with this. Through the foramens there is the presence of nerves, that is the spinal nerves which are developing, which are forming within the sacral canal, are emerges out through the that cannot be seen in this view, that is it is presenting on the lateral aspect only we can see it. So this is sacral foramens. These openings dorsal, like the dorsal sacral foramen, this is the internal aspect, so that we can name it as the, they are also the sacral foramens through which the on the sides of this there are the blood vessels and the spinal nerves emerges out. So these are named as the foramens. This is the sacral promontory and these are the coccyx. The coccygeal vertebra. The coccygeal vertebra, it is originating as 4 vertebrae and fuses as one bone. The fusion of time, that depends, may varies, and all these are attached by ligaments to margins of sacral hiatus. That's why it is attaching towards the attaching towards the sacrum, and it is continuous with the sacrum. Most of the time it is continuous with the sacrum like this. This is the coccyx diagram showing the coccyx. You can see it. The 4 coccygeal vertebrae fuses together to form a single coccyx. So that is all about the introduction to vertebral column. So in the next class we will study about the cervical vertebrae.